Yeah.
So just to set the table for this conversation, a few years ago, a friend of mine stumbled on a concept car from the late 90s.
Hey, cars!
That was at a coworker's brother's house. The guy had he was like kind of a car hoarder. He's got a ton of stuff just laying around his yard, stuff that, maybe he works on some of it, maybe some of it's just there to die. We've all seen these yards full of cars. And he went to look at it, and he was considering buying the car back then to build a 24 Hours of Lemons car. But also, like, it's kind of blasphemy to take such a 90s concept car that actually had like a pedigree and was sought at, you know what I mean, had a
Well,
pretty big
travel the world.
yeah, it literally traveled the world, and then just to turn it into kind of like a joke thing. So it sat there. He sent me pictures way back then, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I don't know how it came up, but Quentin and I were talking on the podcast, I don't know, in the early, couple episodes, and I
We were
realized,
talking
I
about
think,
GT40.
yeah, we were talking about GT40s. That's how it came up. We were talking about GT40s. We can get into that later. And then we were talking about fiberglass, carbon, composite built cars. And I said, hey, I need to tell you something off of the pod because I knew about this car, yada, yada, yada. We got a hold of the guy. He still had it sitting, had not changed in the last, I think he's probably had it in his yard a decade, just been sitting there. Quentin talked to him.
Yep.
We saw that this car was never quite what it was advertised. It never had an engine in it. This was something they were going to supposedly launch a production car off of. Um, but the show car, they never actually put an engine in it. And when they built the rear subframe, like there was no space for an engine because they had tubes going
They,
across.
they told people like performance specs and that it had a Triton V10 in it, and it never had anything in it.
Yeah, it literally had tubing in the way of where you could mount an engine. It just had like a mock frame in the back, and then the body and the
Yeah.
wheels covered everything up, and the brakes looked good. It was just enough to make it, they pushed it into the show. People believed it because why wouldn't they? And yeah, so Quentin was a little apprehensive, I think, because the car wasn't really a car. It was a prop.
Body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a prop. And so he sat on it for a while, and then I think it slowly ate away at him, and he decided to.
Well, I mean, honestly, when I first heard about it, we just talked about it, and then this property that was kind of put in front of us that wasn't like it definitely wasn't a for sure thing, but it was a as a business, I definitely need to at least go down the route of attempting to potentially buy this place because it had a shop on the property. It's 39 acres. It's right in front of a mountain. It was fucking awesome. But it didn't end up working out. The owners didn't. It just didn't end up working out with the owners. But so that kind of steered me away. Now, if I would have gone down the trail at that time, I would own that car right now. That's how shifted this got. Like I would
Yes,
be right now. Right now, I would have money down on it. I'd be picking it up this week.
right. So Quentin talked to the guy. He got pictures from the guy. He saw pictures that my friend had taken years ago when he had initially saw it, and you know what I mean. We've kind of loosely measured or mentioned it in this podcast, but we didn't want to say too much, reveal our cards, and then lose out on a deal.
Yeah, for sure. It
But
was a
things have taken a
reasonable.
turn.
Thought he was reasonable.
So Quentin was actually like given a price for the car. It was a lot for what you were
Yeah, yeah,
getting,
yeah.
but the pedigree and really like you would get enough out of it to be worth what you pay.
I mean, the amount of articles on the internet out there. I mean, there's a lot of information about the car, and it wasn't even a car. So I mean, the it almost has a legit pedigree before you're even turning a wrench on it.
Right. So this seemed like if we could one of us could nab this car, it could be a big stepping stone because it would be something people would want to see. It would be something people would want to keep track of. It could be something like for Quentin's business where he's doing a lot of resto mod stuff and classic stuff and
Yep.
customs. This could be just showcasing his ability to do something completely different. It could be a launching pad for basically
Sure.
anyone who gets their hands on this car. because there's just not a lot of 90s concept cars that aren't in the Peterson.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be, I don't think it's ever going to be a pedigree of a car though, where like it's a Ford concept. You know, it's not going to be a
Right.
brand concept because he never really had a brand. It was just like a guy that did. I actually talked to a buddy of mine that knows of the guy that built the car, and it sounded like he was just he was on GT40 forums, and he's kind of a shithead, like a real big shithead, apparently, from what I heard. But you know, whatever. Um, but I don't know. I don't think it's ever. I think it could be a six-figure car to the right nerd. You know, it
Right.
would almost be somebody that maybe either one saw it somewhere around in the world that as a kid was like, that's the car. That's the car I saw when I was a kid. I need that car. You know, that might be the potential client, but man, that's like end of the rainbow stuff. I don't think you either have to get somebody signed on before you're investing a lot of money, or just make it your own and kind of say fuck the originality of it, because the people that own it now they're not, they say they're staying original to it, but they're not.
All right. So since we're getting to the people that own it now, Quentin was supposed to go see that car yesterday. He had it all set up.
Yesterday I was going to come back today with some awesome stories.
So he had it all set up to happen. And most of us have been there if you've bought and sold a lot of cars. He had a deal with the guy. He didn't even haggle with him on the price. He just said, I want to come take a look at it, make sure it's not shot. And then,
Well, no, actually I was like on the phone with him. I said, I want it. He's like, well, I want you to see it in person before you say yes to it. You know, we'll get some money down on it. And then because he had to kind of, because it's snowy and shit up here now, basically open the yard up enough to get this car out. So I'm like, good deal. Let's set up on. He's like, Saturdays work good. The next Saturday, like that first Saturday was like literally 25 below and windy. Like, there's no way we're going. Like, I'm not gonna go try and open up a fiberglass car in 20 below weather.
right.
Um, but yeah, so we set up the next Saturday, and then I get a call, or I message him Sunday evening saying, "Does noon work for you?" And then I hadn't heard anything back until Monday morning, and I called and said, "Hey, can I get? I just have a couple questions before I show up." And then he calls me back right away. He's like, "I got bad news, man." I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Well, I'm selling it to somebody else." I'm like, "Why?" It's like, "Well, this guy knew the guy, and he called me kind of out of the blue, and he had already looked at the car before, and that's the only reason why I'm selling it to him." And just gave me the runaround. And then he's telling me that the guy wants to put it on a Tesla Plaid chassis. And I'm like, I kind of told him that what my plans were. And he's like, well, I like your plans better. I'm like, well, then what the hell, dude?
Yeah, the
So
Tesla plaid
eventually
chassis, it's cool, but
he, yeah, I'll get to that. I talked to him on the phone about that. So that was Monday. The guy was supposed to pick it up Wednesday or Thursday morning. The guy that owned the car messaged me basically apologizing, saying, I'm really sorry that how this all worked out. He must have felt really bad. I was kind of like, I'm not over it, but I was like, I don't really need to hear from him. But I'm like, well, if it ever comes, who knows who this guy is that's getting the car. So I was like, well, here's my info. Can you give the guy my info if the guy ever wants to get rid of it? He's like, well, here's this guy's info. Just message him. Okay. So I messaged the guy, just kind of really vaguely saying that if you ever want to get rid of the car, I'll just keep me in mind. And then he messaged back right away with this huge message saying that basically they're trying to restore the car. He knows the owner, the guy that built it. He's got all these parts for it that he's been accumulating, and that HRE is even on board to redo the wheels, and that they're trying to do all of this through social media and for free, but through social to just for social media exposure. So like, and he's like trying to brag up about HRE making the wheels. I'm like, so you asked a custom wheel company to make a set of custom wheels? Yeah, they're gonna say yes, you fucking moron. Sorry, got a little hot there. But anyways, uh, Yeah, so he asked me to work on the car for free through text messages. And then I just kind of, the last message I sent to him, text message said, basically, he said something about having molds for the car. I'm like, well, if we can get, just give me a couple molds for the car, that'd be cool, to start off with something like that. And he's like, well, I don't even want another car out there. Like, okay, that was the last. I messaged him like 3 hours later. He calls me, goes through all of that again, everything he talked about through the text messages, through, and then he tells me that you can buy a Tesla Plaid chassis for. He said you could buy a wrecked Tesla Plaid for 13 grand. I'm like, and then you basically use that. I'm like, and spend 100 grand adapting it. Like
Right.
what? Like you're not. If that's not feasible. He's like, well, that's probably not what we're gonna end up doing. I think we're just gonna do a 4.6, a Ford 4.6 twin turbo with a transaxle. I'm like, why would you start off with a 4.6? Like,
Yeah, mod motor.
yeah, why would you do that? So I'm like, that like right off the bat, I'm like, just your engine choice period sounds retarded. Sorry, you can't say that word. Oh
I say
no,
it. I
sounds
brought it back.
stupid.
We're bringing it back.
All right, so it's bad, but yeah, he
You
was
can use it
really.
in
It was
timing. You
just.
can use it on people.
I mean, he was. At the end of the conversation, he's like, "Yeah, I'll keep you in mind for work on the car." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm definitely willing to work on the car, but I can't do it for free." He's like, "Well, yeah, but we'll keep you in mind." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, but I don't know what that looks like. Like, this isn't UNICEF." I literally said that. Like, well, yeah, I get it. Like, I don't know if you do. Like, I was really torqued about this dude asking me to work on the car for free twice.
Everybody wants something for free. Yeah,
Oh, for
that's
sure. I mean, because your car is cool. I mean, for what he paid for it and what he has into it, I guarantee like he's trying to pull this off for under 100, and there's no way.
right.
Especially what I just learned about a bunch of transaxle stuff because right after all that happened, there was a transaxle in the same town that I was gonna kind of lowball the guy and try and get a Porsche transaxle, and it didn't end up working out because I did a little homework on Friday and called a bunch of places that do V8 swaps with Porsche transaxles, and they kind of steered me away from going from that specific one, and I'm really glad I called them because they kind of sent me down a better path, I think, for as far as like what I want to do with a mid-engine car.
What do you want to do with a mid-engine car?
I really think that oil stain labs that half 11 that thing
Yeah.
is really rad, and I for some reason it's seemingly it would just be a lot easier to just start with a whole Porsche, you know, kind of like that. Like they didn't reinvent the wheel when they put an LS, to a Porsche transaxle and made it go fast because people have been doing
Right.
that for a while and they sell kits for it. So if I take like 896, which is a 2000 to 2004 Boxster S, which has a better transaxle that can hold more power and better suspension and sway bars, get that car, get some wheels, get some fucking wide ass wheels and tires for it, get the V8 swap kit and put a LS in that thing, and then tear the whole body off and build a body, dude. That's like if like the more I think about it, that's kind of just what I want to do. I don't want to have to like the other way around with that car body we're talking about. Like the fun part's almost gone. Like yeah, it looks cool, but you don't get to like design it. It's already there. So you're just working with what you have. I think this is more of the direction I need to go for sure. I like the idea of having not having to spend 3/4 of the time getting a chassis together that will hopefully handle even close to what a Porsche does.
Right.
Because you're guessing. I would be guessing as far as putting a mid-engine chassis together. You know.
So what you're talking about is taking a Boxster S and then building your own supercar, concept car, some sort of exotic.
Yeah. Yeah, basically taking all the body panels off. I don't even think I'd use the windshield. To be honest, I don't even think I'd use the wiring. Like I'd want to use like as
Standalone.
minimal as it. I mean, because if you do end up doing what I want to do is like a carbureted LS, you would be. I mean, you could run like a pretty small circuit, your own standalone, wiring setup, and it'd be pretty easy.
Right.
Be no different than a hot rod home. You know,
Right. Do you have a
I mean,
vision
you're
for what
looking
it'll look like?
closer. I mean, yeah, I mean, I have like three cars of inspiration. I really, I can't say when I say Ferrari, I mean like the vastness of Ferrari. It's hard to not look at them.
Right.
But somewhere in between, like I'd love to have like the style door, like either gull wing or like a butterfly style opening door or something like that. So you'd be trying to find a windshield probably that's McLaren-y looking, really bubbly, and then trying to figure out the doors on that. But I don't know, like Gullwing, Mercedes Gullwing. I really love those cars. If there's any sort of uh, styling that I could pull from that, but I also like GT40s. All years of GT40s styles. There's all things I could pull from there too. I really love the GT40s with the three headlight, like the later ones. Those are really kind of quirky and weird looking. They almost look Ferrari. Um, I don't think I want to do that. I really like the hidden headlight stuff where like those doors that just come down, like flip down headlights, and then have the headlights just mounted behind it. I think that's really rad. So I think I'd do some sort of hidden headlight. But man, like honestly, since I've kind of came to this idea of just taking a Porsche and just stripping it down and rebodying it, it's like, man, now I'm fast forwarding through all that, having to buy like like Corvette suspension and getting all that set up, and like your steering, your suspension, all that shit. It's all done. Like you're just making it cool. You know what I mean? There's work involved as far as getting the LS and stuff done, but Christ, they sell kits for all that. It was for a clutch and bell house, or the adapter plate was like $2,700.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and from what these guys are saying, like driving these cars, Christ, it looks like these are stock cars with full interiors and full just stock vehicles with LSs in them, and they're like feel like they're supercars. So now strip that down, even for rebodying it. I think I'd probably even make it out of steel. I don't know, just because you could always do one in aluminum later or something down the line with a different car or something like that. But I
I
don't
think
know.
it makes sense to go steel for you because I mean it's kind of part of your brand that you have now is the metal forming, and I think that would be
I
a
mean, it's just what I'm most familiar with, so it'd be easier to get through the process of doing it with sheet metal. But
right.
it'd be a pile, right? But I'm
Feel
thinking, even those Boxster S's behind the motor, almost like a C8 Corvette, there's like this whole trunk thing. Like, dude, you can ace 2 feet of that car
right.
in the back, like right up to the back wheels, damn near. And I mean, I'm getting all jacked up about it because you can buy a drivable S, like a nice one, not nice, but a decent one for like 10 grand in Florida. I'm just gonna come down there, get an S, drive it back up to Wisco.
Not in the winter.
Yeah, I think I'll wait till spring.
It'll be fine until you hit like Indiana.
That'd be fucking terrible, I'm sure. I'm thinking I could do it during the winter, and I'm like, yeah, but if the weather changes even a little bit, like it's gonna suck so bad. And then you see some of them from Florida, and like because the most of them are convertibles, right? And I don't know if all of them are. I'm not even that familiar with
Either
them.
am I.
But the most of them have like holes in the tops or something. Like, can you imagine driving 2.5 days? Yeah,
Just
floppy convertible
flapping.
top. Oh,
You got to wear the aviator
so yeah,
goggles and the fur hat with like the ear covers.
definitely gonna have to have earplugs. Oh my god, that'd be a terrible ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the idea. I mean, just what those cars look like stripped down with mid-engine and shit. Get that. Oh, I just think it's rad. They even had that on. Didn't they do one on Gas Monkey? Excuse me. I think they did one on that show.
Maybe. It's been a long time since I
It,
saw some Gas Monkey.
the only reason I see it every once in a while is because our local, like our, I don't know if it's like 7.5 or some shit. They're like there's reruns of Gas Monkey on our some like local step channel or whatever. So everyone we leave it on for the dogs during the day, and we come home and I'm like, fucking Richard Rawlings. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I enjoyed that show, even though it's, dramatized and whatever. I enjoyed that show up until once I started seeing Gas Monkey Garage stuff at Walmart. I was like, oh, it's run its course. It's just turned into
Speaking of Gas Monkey,
commercialization.
speaking of Gas Monkey, I had a guy come on Friday from Milwaukee that wanted to try out my power hammer, and he got hooked up with a TV show with Courtney Hanson through a guy that he knew that worked at Gas Monkey.
Oh,
It
really?
was really like a long-winded, yeah, and which was really weird because he was up here. His wife went to college with a girl that I went to high school with. So it was like they were up here because their kid had hockey thing, and it
Small
was just
world.
like super small world, dude. Yeah, but he was like he was down when Brian Fuller put together a car that a Hot Wheels car that they blew up
Hmm.
and made it into a car. They had CNC, the parts all CNC metal shaped uh, from Saltworks, and had them sent in a box. They opened them up and they started mating panels together. And he was kind of telling me the process of how they did that with those 3D metal shaped three 3D CNC metal shaped panels. Sorry, it's hard to get that out of the mouth. Um, and how like the panels, like if once you trim the edges, how they kind of spring a little bit, so you're kind of having to
Right.
massage it. And he's basically saying like, it's not going to take anybody's job. So it was kind of nice to hear somebody that actually was there doing it. Um,
Right.
but he said it was pretty interesting because there's like 20 or so fabricators at that event, and everybody in their teams, everybody kind of tackled something a little differently. And he's like, it was pretty interesting to see that the different ways people did things. People on the high end of their career, all over the country coming together, and everybody does something differently. It's kind of crazy, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it was super interesting. He liked the hammer. He's trying to figure out between the Mittler brother hammer and a Bailey hammer. So he's just trying to. There's like I can see the reason why. I had another guy asking me the same thing. I haven't ever tried a Bailey hammer, so I can't really speak to that. But um, I understand why people are in the price point. They're trying to figure out which way they want to spend their money.
Right. Huh. How'd you hook up with him?
He actually, remember I told you a while back that Bailey had somebody stop around. He's the guy that made that connection as well. So he's must know people at Bailey or something as well. He just
Okay.
messaged me out of the blue. Boy, I think it was right after I bought my hammer, he was messaging me. And then I've actually had people from Mittler Brothers contact me about having people wanting to stop to try out the hammer before they buy it because it's a sizable investment. So it's, traveling 3 4 hours to try one out isn't out of the blue.
Right. Hmm. That's pretty sweet. So this car that we were talking about before, the whole thing, like where
Really?
you were talking about GT40 chassis, or the guy was on GT40 forums, and there's some discrepancies in the history on that. Supposedly, the guy, from what I heard, had the company commissioning the car purchase a GT40 for him because he was going to put the car on a GT40 chassis. The car
Oh,
is not on a GT40 chassis. And then the
not
guy
irrelevant.
also supposedly was going to use like a lot of that running gear. I think he was going to use that transaxle to put the V10 on. And that's not anywhere either. And I kind of heard and saw in some forums that the guy kind of did a lot of things just to get himself a GT40, and then he put up this prop of a vehicle to put out into the world
Hmm.
for the company, and then it was kind of like a not a Ponzi scheme, but it was like the whole thing was a little bit of a manipulation for him to end up with something he wanted, and then he never really delivered the product that
Wow.
the world was
Well,
supposed
I
to
mean,
get.
it does make a little bit of sense when you realize where the car came from that we were talking. This was that guy's employee that was owed money
Right.
from said car builder. So it's like, okay, it's already shady right off the bat. As soon as I started finding out a little bit more about the character, I was like, dude, maybe I don't want the car. Because it's almost
Well,
glamorizing that person, you know? That was the one thing where it's like, I don't want to build the car to glamorize that guy.
yeah, I was thinking about because I had, my friend that had originally found the car because he worked with the guy that is the seller, the current seller. Um,
Yeah.
I had always thought, well, I want to build a car, not a production car. I've been wanting to do that. I have one more build on my docket before I get to that, and hopefully I'll have a building up to build a scratch built car. But I had that in my head that I wanted to build a non-production vehicle, a tube chassis, build a whole,
Oh, sure.
supercar is a strong word, but you know what I mean, build my own vehicle.
Yeah, but I mean, people are building right now. People are building things that I would call a supercar, and they're calling them like hypercars and shit. So you can call it to me, the car we were talking about is a Wisconsin supercar. If it originally had a transaxle, and even if it was a V8, not a V10, it's still it would still in that time would have been faster than anything else on the road in
Oh yeah,
Wisconsin. So
yeah.
to me, supercar. You could
I
call it
think
a supercar.
I think a hypercar is 200 mile an hour plus or something.
Is that like the? Do they actually
Yeah,
have like
yeah. I
this
think
is
it's
what it is?
it's like 200 or 225 or something is when they hit hypercar. Because you see, like Lamborghini will have supercars, and then they'll have a hypercar, and those I think it's a mile per hour milestone that you have to hit.
Okay, I
Uh,
don't know shit about shit.
yeah. Either way, but I'd wanted to do that, so I was like, well, if Quentin doesn't get this car in a couple years, or actually the timelines are moving faster. I built my pre-runner truck in, uh, less than a year, really, and that's from a blown up truck, and I
Mhm.
never even knew I was going down this path. It's just um, with making the YouTube videos and it's always sunny in Florida. I've just been kind of cranking through stuff. I'm not I mean, I feel like I sit on the couch a lot, but instead of spending my weekends doing nothing and my afternoons doing nothing, I've been ticking along pretty quick on this, and I have one other truck to build and for my son, and then when that thing is drivable, I'm free reign to build something. And Quentin might use logical approaches like I'm going to get a Porsche that's a whole chassis and has steering and suspension and is known to handle and it's engineered by the Germans and it's wonderful. It already has a transaxle and he could not buy the parts for near the cost. But for the cost of the
Oh,
whole
right.
car, he could buy a transmission and a steering and that would be it. You know what I mean? Maybe the coilovers or something.
It'd be like you're ahead like shifter, steering, suspension, everything that connects it, seat placement, um, roll bar. You can use what's there existing. There is so much of that car that you could use, and that's I think a guy should get a driver and drive it a while to see what he wants to keep.
Right. Yeah, I want to basically scratch build a vehicle. Now, the concept car would have um, kind of offered me that because, like we said, it's kind of on a prop chassis. It has a couple of bulkheads, it has a rear frame and a front subframe, but really, if you look at it, there is zero structure to the suspension mount points.
Yeah, even the control arms that were fabricated for it, they were like flattened aviation tube steel,
Right.
but what they connect to isn't real,
No.
isn't a real chassis. So they are obsolete. They don't. They're all they're there for is to get it to make it a roller.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
If you look in through the wheel, you see like a cool looking controller. But I want to go, from nothing on, and I enjoy the suspension geometry, and I'm learning. I obviously learned a lot of this stuff in motorsports chassis fabrication class and through some experience working on stuff. And in my truck, I did built suspension, modified the geometry. So I enjoy that portion of it. And the car I want to build, which is going to be I've already worked out all the dimensions for the footprint, the width, the cockpit size, the where the rear bulkhead firewall is going to be, all that stuff, and it's kind of like C8 Corvette sized. They're just for what I want. There really isn't an offering that would make sense to me, and I want to have something that I don't have to work around. Like on my truck, I built a suspension mount to stock suspension mount, so I'm working around existing things. I want to be able to get, like my engine transmission, and that's basically the starting point.
I mean, that's where I was headed after this car didn't work out because like I started going down the transaxle thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get a transaxle, an LS adapter plate, an LS, and then literally buy some C6 and C7 or C5 C6 suspension and literally do that. Now it's like for me, I personally, I'm not trying to take over your story,
No,
but I personally like those French car coach builders where they would get a chassis and then they would just build a beautiful car around it. Like
right.
I like that idea. Like I really love that idea. But I'm not gonna make like I'd like to make something elegant like that too, but I also want to make something that's super loud, rowdy, and like when it goes down the road, somebody's like, "What the fuck was that?" You
That's where we got to put the meme in where the from Friday where they're like, damn, you know.
know? Yeah.
um, yeah. So I have been discussing this. I kind of want to build a car that can drift, just so my wife can smash it into walls. Not saying commenting on her driving. I'm just saying that's what happens when you're learning to drift.
I think I
And
would like to have a car that's little loose enough to do that too. To be honest, just to kick it sideways to have fun with it because like let's be real, you can hook up all day on the street, but it's only fun for like until you get to like 60, 80, 100 miles an hour. And then you're like, now you're getting arrested territory kind of stuff, you know? So it's like, how do you have fun? And like, it doesn't have to be the fastest car to be the most fun car, you
yeah, I just want to build a driving experience car. So you just have
know?
a full experience when you're
Exactly.
in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you fire it up, you feel it. I'm a big carbureted guy. I like to hear carburetors flutter and sing. You know what I mean? I like all the mechanical analog sounds. So I want to build, an exotic, a supercar, something low slung and wide and looks like nothing else on the road and it's fun to drive. You know what I mean? Handles for just driving around town. You could take it, you know what I mean? Drive a few hours if you wanted, drive across country for an event. But also, we have fairly close to me, we have Sebring Raceway, and one, it'd be fun to road race it. And two, you know what I mean? Whether you just change some, shock tuning and you want to pump that handbrake, put a hydro e-brake in it or something like that, and then you got a car you can drift too that just some different tires or whatever. Seems like that could be a lot of fun. And so I'd been thinking about doing, scratch built car because I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll get like a Lexus SC 400 or something where they're V8 aluminum, all aluminum dual overhead cam, put a manual transmission in it. They all came automatics, but you can get like a super transmission for fairly cheap and put it in there, or a 350Z transmission.
Energy car.
It's a front engine car. So I was thinking that because I was thinking drift car initially. And then I was like, well, I'll rebody it. I'll put a picture in here, but there is a Japanese company everybody knows because he makes Rocket Bunny, but he does a bunch of other fiberglass stuff. He started building like fiberglass kits in 3D back and then like having them making all the molds with like CNC foam cutters and stuff like that back in like the 90s, like 80s and 90s when CAD was just coming out. So the guy's just been in it
Sure.
forever. But he took a Lotus Exige and he put some sort of Subaru motor in the back with a sequential Samsonite transmission, and he built like this Group C looking front clip for it. It does not look anything like a
Interesting.
Lotus at all. It just has like the Lotus windshield, which is a very shapely, rounded out windshield. And then
Sure. I
he
think that'd be the
built.
hardest part is getting the right one.
Yeah, I was looking for mine. So I've already, because of Quentin and I have been speaking heavily outside the podcast about this or texting because we try to leave the candid conversations for the recording.
For this.
Um, yep. We have been talking about it a lot, and I the way my head works, I get like I get a vision that pops in my head. So I don't know if I'm working on things in my subconscious and then things just come at me. So like that's how it worked for my truck paint job. That's that's how a lot of that's how a lot of my creations come. Like I think about what I want to do and then later on I just get full images. So I started we were talking about it a lot and I was getting these like supercar images of what it would look like if Ethan was to build a supercar. And I'm texting you this Lotus that I was talking about, or I sent it to you on Instagram. So I was like, I need to get this out. I need to get this on paper. Oh yeah, buddy. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's fucking rad.
Yeah, I thought it was an MR2 or something. Where he just saw the picture of the Lotus I was talking about. Um, so I was like, I got to get this image out of my head. So that's what I'll do a lot of times. Like when I had my truck paint job for the livery, because I thought about the livery for weeks, and then all of a sudden one night I got a little tired and my brain was swirling, and all of a sudden it was just like blah blah in my head. Um, when I was relaxed and not thinking about it is when it came. So I had to draw it out, even just
Yeah,
rudimentary.
real.
So I always draw things out. Well, now we have this wonderful AI where um,
Right.
I've been training my AI Chat GPT for quite a while. So he isn't that scary? I just said that. Um, he
Yeah.
named himself. Did I tell you that?
Yikes,
I said, "Hey, what do you want me to call
bro.
you? Do you have a name?" And then he named himself. Um,
That's scary. Don't tell anybody. It's like if you tell somebody, then your dreams won't come true.
so told him, these are the elements I'm thinking. This is what my plan is. This is my thoughts. I want to draw inspiration from. I like the '90s Group C race cars because I was like, what would a supercar that I would build is? And I always draw. I think it's because I was a kid in the '90s and I had all like you know what I mean? Like you'd have like the '90s car posters and stuff like that. So I was like, what would it mean to me to build my own supercar? And I don't want to be derivative of I don't want it to be like, oh, that guy was trying to make a Ferrari, that guy was trying to make a Bugatti, that guy was trying to make a Jaguar XJ90 or whatever.
Been like it's hard to even visually look at other cars now without pulling some kind of inspiration from them because you're already if you look at it now you're already pulling that inspiration. Sorry, taking over your story.
And no, this is a conversation, not Ethan preaching time. So inspiration I think is wonderful, and I don't think there's much that people do that doesn't isn't inspired by something else. And so I don't have a problem with inspiration. Um, but I wanted to just not be like, that's this guy's Ferrari, that's this guy's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lamborghini. Lamborghini has,
Sure.
you don't need a logo on a Lamborghini to know it's a Lamborghini. You don't need an emblem on a Ferrari to know it's a Ferrari.
Yeah, you are not wrong.
You
You're
don't need
not
a
wrong.
you don't need the Bugatti grill to say Bugatti to know it's a Bugatti. So I didn't want mine to take the essence of another supercars company. So
Right.
the more I thought about that, I was like, what would it be for me? And I also have to do my best not to make a Fiero. But so I was like, what would that be to me? And I started thinking about how I really liked the proportions of the old '90s Group C cars. Now, obviously, the new ones aren't totally
Yep.
different. You share the same low slung, short front end, long rear end, um, that tight cockpit, rounded windshield. They haven't changed a lot in that aspect, but there has been changes over the years. So I kind of wanted a '90s Group C inspired car brought into 2026, and I also kind of wanted it to look like it could be something from Tron, also because I don't know, something about Tron. So I had my Chat GPT and I worked with it and got some renderings down, and now I may have those printed out in some posters or something to put in my garage just to like keep it in my head,
Yeah, that's really cool.
and then like keep it so I keep working on it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like
Like,
even if it changes, it's still like you're staring at it and you stare at it every day.
right.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Now you're gonna know which lines you want to change if you want to change anything.
Oh,
For
things will change anytime. Anytime you
Sure.
start building something or massaging, you have to
Oh,
evolve.
yeah. Reality is much different than a rendering for sure.
Right. Now, there are, and I think part of Quentin's issue while he's been so hot and heavy is there are people that are building cars from renderings, and I have been like sending him these, one-off cars that people have built from some exotic, 3D rendering. Holy Hall in Germany is building the wildest looking freaking car. I don't even know what to
Yeah.
call it, but it's so angular and flat, but not. It's just raw looking. It
I
looks,
mean, it's weird looking to me, but you can that it's not the angle I would go, but you can definitely like the work is fantastic. Like you can see it.
and they're building that out of sheet
So
metal.
it'd be something I would nerd over at a car show. That's for sure.
Every time it comes across my feed, I'm like, oh yes. I always, um, I try not to. Thankfully, we live in a time where your exposure to the car culture isn't just like Quentin growing up going to Boy Scouts car shows. You know what I mean?
Right?
Now we get to draw from everywhere, and I've always really liked what the Japanese did with cars, and I'm not even just talking about with Japanese cars. I think
Just how they modify cars.
yeah, and I think yesterday I sent you a Merc, like a 40s Merc. That's
Yeah.
Japanese custom.
Yeah, that was I have that car in a magazine somewhere. Um I can't remember if it was like Old School Rods or what magazine it actually was. But there's a whole article on that that I kind of drooled over for a while. That I think he's got like a matching trailer or something he pulls with it as well, the car shows and stuff. But there's a fantastic traditional American traditional rod and custom culture in Japan. That
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
So I always try to draw from like, more worldly. And then I mean this is not like some big effort of mine. It's just I don't like to be
Hard not
shoehorned.
to.
I don't like to be shoehorned, and thankfully with social media and the internet, it's so easy to just see what people are building all over. So I've been following like that Holy Hall car. Anytime I see somebody that's just doing something different and exceptional, I just try to kind of see it as often as I can and just kind of draw inspiration on not always following the wave that everybody else is doing. I like when I see people doing something wild or
Yeah.
unique.
I mean, Japan does some unique shit.
Well, it's because they live in a culture of conformity, and so when you push conformity on people, you push being quiet and polite and whatever.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they take it
the
farther.
the rebellion is bigger. So yeah, that's why you get
Yeah,
wild colored drift cars with just the most insane bodies on them. And, their
like
culture,
fucking
customs
3 foot
culture.
wing spoiler in the front of the car and shit. Some of that stuff is like it's so ridiculous. It's hard not to admire their ambition because it looks pretty good.
Yeah, we I had a Fairlady Z. I talked about it a little bit on here, my old Datsun,
Yeah,
and it had a 4 foot airbrush samurai on the side of it and it was purple and green, and like the car was we used to go to a drift track in Shawano. It's called US Air, and it's actually one of like the premier drift tracks for like grassroots drifting, not Formula D, um in the country.
sure.
But it was only like an hour and a half, so we'd go watch these drift events all the time. People come from all over the country, and a lot of these guys, some of them travel to Japan, but a lot of these guys are inspired heavily by the actual Japanese drift scene. And you see that the cars are not perfect. The cars are not super nice. They bash them into walls. They do all this stuff, and they just don't worry about it. And they don't worry about like there's a lot of the car scene now is like, oh, it's got to be. I mean, I think it's going away a little bit, but for a long time, last 10 years or something, it's all about, oh, it has to be clean. Like this is clean, bro. It's the wheels and everything, nothing's clashing, it all just goes together so clean. You don't want your fitment's got to be all right. Everybody focused on like a minimalist clean look, and the drift cars were this like, we're just having fun, that we want to open our garage door and just smile. You know what I mean? We don't care if we put all
Yeah,
this work in and we bash this thing into the concrete barrier and the bumper comes off. We'll just zip tie it back on, put a sticker
yeah,
over
that's
it.
fucking up.
They want
That's the flavor.
they just want to. smile and have fun, and I really like that. So like that's kind of how I've gone. Like the paint job on my truck, it's 5 colors, it's airbrushed, it's on a fiberglass, wide body. But I run it through the tree branches and hit the palmettos and all this stuff. Like I don't care if I scratch it up. I purposely didn't make it like one. I didn't have the have a booth to put it in. So I mean, I didn't really have the resources to make a perfect paint job, and to do that in my driveway would be an immense amount of work, and I wouldn't really get a big payoff from it.
To me, that's the kind of truck where you like you did, you make it, you do a paint job on it, and then everything after that is just like this is how it is. If it gets
Yeah,
scratched here, unless it's like a gigantic dent or something, like you fucked something up. Other than that, like road scars, rashes, it's all like that's
it's
wear and
part of it.
tear, baby.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the trophy trucks, they all look nice when they roll off the shop floor, and then they get just
yeah, they all look
bashed.
nice. Yep.
But that's part of it. I was actually smiling the other day because like I made an aluminum tilt frame for my one piece front end on the truck, and painted it like a satin black, and it's starting to in the grill you can see some of the frame, and it's starting to get rock chips on it. So it's just like
Oh
becoming
no.
weathered. It's becoming weathered, and I like it. Like it looks, you know what I mean? I just do not get hung up on stuff like that anymore. I mean, if I was building a show car, I would,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're building something for the Riddler, you do get hung up. But there's different levels of what we build. I would never tell anybody like the paint job on my truck is perfect.
Something for the Riddler. To me, that's like almost laughable. Like there's the amount of investment it would take to actually legitimately compete, not fathomable to this guy. I mean, I can see the work, but even doing it myself, there's no way we'd be able to get things done fast enough. I don't think. Like it would be 5 to 10 years of work.
And what happens with those cars after?
That's the kind of thing that's I think that's the reason why some people in the automotive aftermarket are like not as keen to even go down that road anymore because the amount of investment you do. I mean, there's these are majority of them are million some dollar cars. By the time you get done or very close to it. Um, what happens to them when they're done? Exactly, they're legitimate. Uh, there's nothing. The majority of them are like they're still badass cars. It's hard to say that they're just not getting their placement. I thought I heard somebody trying to do a show where they're like all the ones that didn't win, you know,
That should be cool.
rest of the grade eight or whatever, to kind of glamorize them because they're still relevant cars.
Very.
They're not irrelevant because they didn't win the one thing that year. And it just so happened, because you're taking so long to build the car, you don't really know who you're going to be competing against, who gets their car done at that year. So you don't really know who you're up against, what even what level of car you're up against. I mean, they're all to a certain level, but they're not the same. They're not all 57 Chevys, they're different
Right.
cars. So it's like you could be building something completely radical, or you could be building a Ford Escort with custom floor pans. It's it's like all over the place. I mean, obviously nobody's going to be building a Ford Escort, um,
That would be interesting.
but yeah, right. They made some badass ones in Europe, they're like weren't there some they called them escorts, but they didn't look like an American escort. They were like
Oh, the
rally
Cosworths.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those things are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are cool. Definitely the Australian and the uh European Ford Escorts are so much cooler. The rear wheel drive. Yeah, they were pretty cool cars. Um
Yeah,
yeah, I think when I build my supercar, I'm gonna go composite body. And part of that's because I work in the marine industry, and so I'm like around a lot of mold making and making bucks. I was actually sending Quintin some pictures this week of a new fiberglass product at my work, and the mold maker was just finishing up the mold and getting polished and everything like that. Because the way we do it, we do mirror finish molds, so the inside of the mold is 100% polished, perfectly smooth piece. And so when you spray gel coat in there and lay fiberglass out, you pull out a piece that all you have to do is buff the haze off of it, and you have a presentable fiberglass part. And then, you know what I mean? If you were, well, I mean, you don't have to put gel coat down. You could just put release agent and then go straight to glass if it was going to be a painted product. I don't think having gel coat hurts. When you, I mean, I guess when you,
You want gel coat.
yeah, when you order a fiberglass product, they always come gel coated.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, sometimes you dig into it when the where the panels meet together.
right.
Sometimes you end up evening them off. You dig like that Factory 5 car. We were through the gel coat. Actually, some of the seams on that Factory 5 Cobra, we were almost through after we leveled the seams out. So it's like, you know, you got to take it as I
Got
don't
a,
know.
you got a
It's
kitty hair at
fiberglass.
the back of the flange. So when you sand the flange down, it's still got
I
some
mean,
meat.
right, right.
Yeah, it's sad. I don't know if it's sad, but I mean, there is
Anyway,
some of that to the nature of fiberglass part making. Because
sure.
molds, like our molds, because we are, a production facility, they pump a bunch of products out, and each time you do that, the resin's making heat, and it changes the shape of the mold, and like flat surfaces begin to suck in, and things change shape over time, and so that I think is the biggest issue with a lot of fiberglass parts is the molds
I think the
change.
more shape you have, the longer the. Would you say like the more shape you have in the panel, the longer the mold would keep?
I would say, yeah, the more complex the shape is, the more rigid it'll be. It's big flat surfaces that seem to change the most. So I imagine a
Sure,
big
sure, sure.
radius, if you had a, let's say, a quarter panel and it had a large
Yeah, yeah,
radius on it, or you know what I mean, it would slowly change as well.
sure.
But what I would do is I want to build, I would basically first step, I would build a body like a buck to build the mold off of. We call them a plug. I mean, I guess I'd build a plug. Um, and then I would finish that, and then I would have to build molds off of that. And then I'd probably do the car first in glass, and then after we smack it into a bunch of stuff, then eventually do carbon parts when the money's right for it. It would be pretty cool to do like exposed carbon.
Doing a lot of learning and fitting and maybe remaking in the fiberglass process before you'd even want to attempt it with carbon,
Right. Oh yeah. That's why
just to make sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I totally understand that.
I would almost think too, like you might want to do carbon, like do a carbon roof panel, do a carbon like hood insert. You know what I mean? Like a part, like the
Yeah,
way
think,
I would think that it would not be, there would be zero negatives to having, because I don't like a full exposed carbon car. Um, I think that if I did like fiberglass quarters, fiberglass fenders, fiberglass, I mean, could do carbon doors, but I think that you could sprinkle the carbon is in as a contrast component. Plus, obviously there's weight savings to it, but
it'd
if
be
anybody,
really cool instead of if you did if it's going to be semi race car inspired, like you could build your tube chassis to the exterior of the car and almost have like you would see part of the tube chassis as part of the outside of the car, but like your tubes here, and you would
right?
fasten like carbon panels in between, and like fuck, it's kind of making my brain spin a little bit. That'd be kind of cool.
I kind of want to do that with so Quentin's seen my renders, and I kind of want to do that with the rear, because I've got like I like it on these exotics where you look at, and these hand built cars. Some people have taken like wrecked Lamborghinis and done it, where you kind of do like this silhouette type thing where you have like quarter skins, but if you look at the back of the car, you're seeing all the mechanical. You're seeing the control arms. You're seeing the center of the transaxle at the rear. Just looks
For
wicked,
me, I love seeing all that stuff from the backside. Like the one I
right?
build, it's definitely very open in the back.
Yeah, so I think that if you did that, yeah, I would like to leave it so the car's very finished from the sides and from the front where the air's hitting it, but as it hits that back area, yeah, you could do, especially if it was like if I took the frame to get powdered, or the tube chassis to get powder coated or something like that, you could do, exposed tubing around the engine area, and then have carbon, um, pieces that the Zeus clip on or something, that are fastened on for, directing airflow and things like that, and building that
Sure.
that shape. Um, I want to go with because I'm a Toyota nut, and there's things that I like about them. I want to go with the aluminum Toyota V8, the 4-liter dual overhead cam, all aluminum V8. You can make a ton of power with them.
Sure.
They're really inexpensive. The 4-liters they had like really bulky rods compared to, like, for whatever reason, the 4.7 in my truck has a really skinny pencil rod. And that's what blew in my first one. But you can get the early models. They're readily available. They make power. Um, there's performance parts for them, and it's different. It's exotic. It has, like, what I mean. It's a dual overhead cam V8. It's got coil on plugs that go right down the valve cover. It's pretty cool looking. If I did that with an 8-into-1 header piped around the back of the
Right.
engine over the transaxle, be pretty wild. And then I was looking for me. I don't feel like I need a gated shifter. Quentin really wants a gated 6-speed, which I understand. I don't know if, yeah, baby. I don't know that I need that, but there's Audi transaxles that, because for whatever reason, Volkswagen and Audi, they had front wheel drive cars with the longitudinal mounted engine, and so the transaxle is just, you could run a mid-engine setup very easily with it and still have the V8 in front of the transaxle. So I was looking at those with like a 6-speed paddle shift setup, like pretty much every modern supercar.
Plates and stuff for them then.
Yeah. So
Nice.
actually, the Audi transmission they might actually bolt to the Toyota, because the casting company, Aisin, it's called AISSIN. They make a lot of Toyotas, Nissans, Audis. They do a lot of casting, aluminum
Interesting.
casting, and I think cast iron casting too. But I believe the Toyota bell housing mount and the Audi are actually the same. I read that one because when I started looking at the V12s for my truck, they said that basically they're all the same because the same casting company makes them, and they make a lot of transmissions and stuff for other companies too. And so they just have a standard. Everybody's basically buying this company's transmission made to their
Sure.
spec. So the housings are all highly similar. I mean, there's a
Sure.
standardization
Sure.
to it.
Sure.
So I may actually be able to just bolt it right up, or have, what I mean, you may have to look at spacing and things like that for flywheel and clutch and all that. But according to the
Interesting.
interwebs, that's an option. So 6-speed paddle shift, and then you got the hydro e-brake on the center console.
Yeah.
I also,
That's
because I'm an aluminum fabricator by trade right now, I think it'd be cool to do some, like, exposed aluminum little
sure.
pieces here and there sprinkled in, um, just for contrast. I'm all contrast. I mean, obviously I like painting stuff wild, but really, to me, contrast is the most important thing when it comes to the overall look of a vehicle. Like, I think sometimes a white vehicle with just contrast done in black in the right place can be the best looking setup possible. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. It could be like the most dramatic thing you could see in a vehicle. Like the contrast of that is like that's kind of where I think if I taking this car to the finish line, the one I had kind of in my head, it will be white with black accents.
I'm looking at doing like an off-white.
I can see it being off, like, but just like that high, I like definitely under like I'm on the same page as like the high contrast color uh, combinations together, getting that flavor together.
Yeah, I think sometimes when things are, it depends on the vehicle and the thing you're doing, because sometimes, like, a vehicle is kind of bland, and so the paint job is what makes it interesting. And sometimes a vehicle brings so much to the table, like that you don't need a wild paint job to showcase it. So,
That's where I'm at. That's the sweet spot I like. Let's make the
right,
car nuts and not have to put such a crazy paint job on it to get people's attention.
right.
That's what I like. I really like
Like the Mustang behind you, you'd
it.
never
Say,
put a wild paint job on that.
no, not even a little bit. This thing's getting like solid color, some kind of a green. I don't know exactly the exact shade yet, but I have it in my head like almost factory, um, factory dark, like I don't even know what the hell dark hunter green. I don't know whatever it's called. That that bullet green, kind of like that, but more. Sounds stupid, Range Rover ish, like
Okay,
a
British
little
Racing
more,
Green. Well,
little more blue in it, maybe. A little more pastelly, little more blue. Um, Still make it look like late '60s, early '70s, something somebody would have just thrown on a cover, kind of thing. Make it look tits. You
tits.
know,
Yeah.
I do think that's a guy. I really like getting back to what the car I kind of want to put together. I think that I don't necessarily want to do an LS just to. The only reason I would do an LS is just for the affordability of making power, and the accessibility to people to work on it around here. But I would be going carbureted anyways. But I really like the idea of a dual overhead cam motor. So I was thinking if a guy could fit a Coyote, because that would be basically the most affordable in my eyes, dual overhead cam motor. Is it just like fitment wise? Is it even going to fit in the car because it's so gigantic, um, in comparison to an LS? But once these Z06 cars, the C8s, come down the pipeline, we're already seeing like that motor becoming available on eBay and marketplace and stuff like that. So what if a guy got when I get to that stage of after I acquire the car, let's say in a year, all of a sudden that 5.5, can't remember what it is, like a LT, whatever that
Yeah, I
5.5
think
dual
they're an
overhead cam
LT.
Z06, it's an LT something or whatever, but put that motor in it and put a carbureted setup on that. Like that would be fucking sick.
Yeah, flat plane would sound wicked.
Yeah, that's what even I think a Coyote would be pretty tits, but you're going to run into the same issues size wise. If you go to anything dual overhead cam, you're going to run into some size issues, I think.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I want to try to hand draw or start getting the CAD and start working on my tube chassis design. But I think that so like my son's truck, we're gonna do we have a chassis and then we're gonna do a front suspension, rear suspension, roll cage, center mount uh diff in the front and change some things up. But really, it's not going to be an overly complicated thing. It's going to be very capable and it's going to be very handmade, but it's not like overly complex. So I
You're not
think
doing human placement in a vehicle.
right. So I think
Like like you have to zoom out and do like real human ergonomics when you're doing stuff like that. For real.
right. So I think for and I'm just building a better version of the truck that's already there, and then just building a big suspension. So it's not like it's going to be a big flex mentally. Um,
For sure.
it's not going to be exhausting mentally to build it. It's going to be just like I have this far out to build my cage. I want to tuck it as whatever. Like that's not something that I have to
Mm.
burn my brain around a lot. So maybe okay to what I mean. The more groundwork I can build for the car that when the time comes, if I already have the whole thing built to three-dimensionally in my head and whatever, then it'll just really speed up the
Mentally in this
process.
my car. And I'm in the same place. Like to me, it's not like I'm on cruise control with my car, but I have it mentally. It's been figured out for a while. It's just a matter of literally getting to it. You know,
Right. Which is this week or next week?
this next week. Yeah, yeah. It's in the right
Like
spot.
fabrication spot, baby.
Fabrication station. Yeah, yeah.
A lot of welding. You got to
Oh.
teach your wife how to TIG weld.
Yeah. I put her in front of MIG welder. She MIG welded the core supported on that '69 Mustang.
Cool.
She's not a fan of grinding metal or being around metal. Period. It seems like if she gets the grindings on her skin, it like irritates it. Like she's almost allergic. It's kind of weird. Like,
Uh, I think it's just built tolerance. I don't think any of us love it.
well, I kind of said the same thing too, and she's like, "No, I looked it up. People are actually allergic." And when I looked it up, Yeah, there's people that are allergic to
Yeah.
getting like physical metal, like that metal on their skin. They're allergic to the metal. Like, yeah, of course you would be. I'm not saying that that's the truth, but maybe she just don't want to do it.
Well, I think depending on what you've exposed your skin to your whole life changes its sensitivities too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We were having this conversation at because hiring people for my work is for the fiberglass part of my work is a hard thing to do because uh and I actually no that
But
don't it's hard to get people to come and it's hard to get people to stay for the fiberglass portion of the work. Um especially because it's not I mean there is skilled labor positions in there, but there's a lot of just like we need labor. You know what I mean? A lot of it's just work.
yep,
Now we have skilled people doing it because sometimes that's who you have there. Sometimes you can get skilled people, but sometimes you're just getting like guys that there's a lot of guys that are just holding signs on the at the construction site looking for a better job, and they come into it and they're just like, whoa, it's way easier to hold that sign. But I my boss who he purchased the company. He's not like a fiberglass guy. He's not a fabricator. He's just a business guy. And he was like, well, that he's like with the glass, there's got to be ways not to be so sensitive to it, right? And I said, well, one, you kind of get used to being itchy. Two, I think the bigger portion of the fiberglass tolerance, like getting the fiberglass dust on you and not tearing your skin apart and hating your life, is learning. Doing body work, you get some of this too. You get stuff on you, dust on you, and whatever. Is like just learning to when you get that metal on you, not to rub it against something. When you get that fiberglass dust on you, if you're sweating, do not touch. Do not rub that your skin with that
yeah.
fiberglass on anything. Like when you're working,
Something like powder that usually people that works a lot. I mean, Zach, our buddy Zach, he used to do that shit all the time. He'd be rubbing himself in baby powder beforehand because it goes into your pores.
yeah, I
It's
can see that.
smaller, it gets into your pores, fills them. That way the fiberglass won't go into your pores. Now, if you're sweating, it's obviously going to fall out of your pores right away. So that's not going to work. But yeah, if you do baby powder and you're not sweating, that works.
Hmm. I I just like what I mean. Try to cover your skin when you're doing like there's a very
Yeah,
let for the like the job that I'm talking about. Really, even the whole thing. There's like a 1/10 of your day is spent sanding fiberglass. Okay, so it's a very small portion of the day. So during that 1/10 of the day, you know, you cover up, you wear a respirator, put some sleeves on, you do the work, and then when you do not rub yourself, you get the sleeves off, or you blow yourself off, you pull your sleeves off, you pull your respirator off, you pull your head whatever covering off, and then you blow off real good, and then you go wash in cold water, and you almost never have an issue.
cold water is the key too. Hot water will make it worse, way worse.
But the
I
problem
think
is
an old paint suit works fantastic. I think
it does, but I got to tell you, there's not a lot of people wanting to wear paint suits in Florida.
it's in Florida, I'm sure all the time it's fucking hot. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like you're wearing the garbage bag and trying to lose weight for wrestling or something.
How big of pieces do you guys make?
Um, most of our products are 8 feet and under. We have some long ones that I think are like 10 to 12 feet.
Fiberglass molds that are 8 feet long.
Oh, it's long. We got ones that are longer.
No shit. So you
Yeah.
could definitely build a body there with the
Oh yeah.
resources of the mold making and stuff. No shit.
Yeah,
That
and
is really cool.
everything we do is chop gunned.
Sure.
So which most bodies for cars that are made are
Yeah.
chopped. Um, yeah. So realistically, I could build a buck and prep it and bring it there and have what I mean, have everything prepped and then pay
Sure.
to have my work chop the mold and then take it back to my shop.
So what would you do for you pretty much got a body work prime and block out a car to get it to be mold ready?
Yeah, so I would to build your plug, it basically has to be a on the exterior a finished product. So there are certain
Right.
you can do just like So if you would build a buck, say you do a wood buck and you stretch fleece over it or you foam it or you whatever, most of our products are pretty flat based, and so like you just have like radius corners and stuff like that. So you just you build it out of wood, you sand it down, you body filler the wood grooves out, you router or whatever radius you want into all the edges, things like that, and then you
You guys
body
are
fill.
painting, are you?
We're not what?
Are you painting them too, or are you just getting them like primer and blocked out and like
We actually do
buffed?
like a gel coat. So we build the whole product out and then you like gel coat it. There is a certain product you can use that it's like a it's kind of interesting. It's like a primer you put on and then you get a couple days to work with it and then it hardens like gel coat
Interesting.
hard and then you buff it out and then you have like a polished product. You know, and then
Cool.
you have to make sure that it's braced very firm. Like a lot of times they have a really heavy wood frame because when you make the mold on them, you're putting a lot of heat into them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to twist. And when you're taking the mold off, you don't want. So you build like the plug like that, and it's a polished. You know what I mean? Like basically, when I do it, it'll be like a polished car. And then
Right.
you know, the thing with a car is you're going to need those molds in pieces. So either you need to make it
Yeah. It's
so you'd cut it
trimmed.
up and flange things. So like you'd have like a front clip, you know,
Yeah.
a door area, things like that. Or you would have to do the whole thing and then have flanges to unbolt it and then put multiple pieces. Like a lot of times when you buy like a 32 Ford or whatever, those molds are like a 3 or 4 piece bolt together mold. They glass them, you clay the inside seams, you spray it, glass it, and then you unbolt it and
Yeah.
break it all apart. But um,
I think that Cobra that had to be at least 4 or 5 parts. I think no 6, but it was 6 with the nose and the tail. I think it was 6 parts.
yeah, I would want my car to. I would probably build it and then cut it into. I would have like a roof
It'd be nice to
skin.
have the whole front clip.
I would have a front clip, one piece basically,
Yeah.
and then with a hood, I would cut the hood like because I want like a hood insert. The way I have it designed, the fenders and the front bumper will all be one piece, and then I'll have like a drop-in hood insert piece. Um, it could be hinged and whatever, but then I'd have like a
Yeah.
center hood insert, and then those would be 2 pieces, and then I'd have a roof skin. I would have doors, and then I would have you know like the quarters. So I would
Sure.
build it, break it up, flange everything, and then make you know separate molds. So I didn't have to have multiple piece molds if possible. The hood, like the front clip one, would probably have to be a 3 piece mold to make a front clip because you'd want you know you want everything to flange in, and if
It's a lot of
you
convoluted pieces for sure.
yeah yeah you have to have like a say you're building a box like a box you would have to actually have what they call draft. If you want to do like just a 1 piece mold, you'd have to have like a what they call a draft. So you have a slight taper to it. It's like a centimeter per 2 or 3 feet or something like that. And so um like a centimeter per yard, I guess, or per meter. And then
Comes out.
yeah, so that way after it's hard and cured, you can pop it out because it's tapered.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
otherwise you have to have a mold that comes apart. And that just adds a lot.
Speaking of fiberglass cars, last week when we were talking, I had a guy stop in, and he ended up bringing his car in on this last Monday, and ended up being a recreation of a cheetah. And well, not a recreation. He said they're like relicensed, which is like the same people that made cheetahs and from 63 to 7 or something like that. They're the same people that are relicensing them and having them built now. But they're like, he's got number 9 of the recreation or relicensing. They're pretty crazy little car, man. Like super duper small, hilariously small door. Like I don't know how the owner actually gets in the car. It's so small. If there was a fire,
Bad
I don't know if you're
news.
getting out.
Yeah, that's a pretty
But
cool looking
it
car.
actually got off and onto the trailer than it did the work that we needed to do on it. He was just having problems with because it was never a driving car. It was never finished. This guy bought it from somebody who passed away and is it's very close to being like ready to ride fire up and drive, but he just hadn't had some of the that front clip being pulled around. The front clip was open so long and it's so thin that it actually started flexing. And yeah, so to get it back around and then to get the Zeus, like to get the hood back enough and then the Zeus in the right spot, it took 3 of us. I'm like, well, get it there, let it sit there for a while because that's where it needs
Yeah.
to live, you know? Like,
Let it get
like
hot and
when you
cool a
get
bunch of times.
the motor's like, you know, it's not going to start on fire, you know, let it run with the hood shut for a while. Let that hood warm up and sit where it needs to sit, you know?
Right.
But, it's a pretty nice car. He's supposedly taking it to Autorama. He wants to bring it back to have the paint detailed on it. I don't know if we're gonna be able to fit it in or not. I don't really need to work on something like that right now because it would take like probably 2 days to get that paint like right black. You know, it's got to
Right.
be not gonna be just run a buffer over it and it's good. If that's what he's looking for, if he's going to an Autorama and my name's gonna be minimally attached to it, it's gonna be look pretty good. So it's hard
Right.
to say. But, you guys from Detroit, so I'm like, why are you here? It's like, oh, my dad lives down the road. Okay.
Small world.
But his dad's got one too. His dad's got a cheetah as well. Pretty crazy.
Cheetahs run in the family.
They just both. I've met the dad before. I didn't realize who it was until they showed up when they dropped the car or when they brought the car that Monday. But he's had cars around here. Nothing that was like mind blowing at all. This is definitely the most surprising car that I've seen him own. It's not every day you see a cheetah.
No,
I mean, I don't think that was the first. I think that was the first time I've seen one in person.
I don't think I've ever seen one in person.
First time I saw one in a picture, I was like, "Is this real?" Like, the cockpit's so far back; it looks so weird.
Yeah, I like the
They're
goofy
kind of goofy
proportions.
cars. Yeah.
Tell everybody where to find you online, Quinn.
Oh, you can find me on the YouTube, the Instagram, and Facebook. Hungry Hollow Customs on all of them with a K and an S at the end. Where can they find you, sir?
You can find me everywhere at Terror Shark TV. YouTube's the big one. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and wherever else you'd want to look. Until next time.
Under the dress, baby.
Um,
Keep fucking with cars.
keep fucking with cars.
Available in audio form everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you want to see it in video, you can go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/F_CKINGCARS. And just for $5 a month, you can get all of our podcasts in video format, extra bloopers at the end, so you can get a little bit more feel. You can see some of the things we're working on, even some of our more inappropriate moments, and help support the channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification so you get notified every week when we post a new episode.
There you go. Hit the sauce. Hitting the sauce.
All right, so a few years around.